Hi, Trina right here. So I made a commitment to myself to live my expansion out loud, to show up in a big way as a commitment to my own journey. And part of it is I already am the explorer, the philosopher, the liver, the experimenter. I love it. I love the feeling of it. I love stepping out and testing things and figuring them out and just really being open. I just love doing it. And so my idea around sharing it is one, because it might just be the thing that someone else wants to hear to take them to a new place of how they vision their own journey and just take them to a new place within themselves, which is epic and awesome. There's no right place. It's just about expansion. And the other piece is that it will call me to action my priority, which is my own expansion, and really sharing it, because I think that there is value in us sharing our experience. I think that I want to stand as an example of what is possible, and I want to stand as an example of what this looks like. What does it look like to be inside the head of someone that wants to be a conscious creator, for lack of a better word, and that is really actioning that is one of my main intentionalities, moment to moment to moment. So that was kind of where I was coming from in all of this. And my commitment to myself is to share in some way every day. And it might just be a poem. It might just be a few thoughts. It could be an image. It might be some other kind of art. It might be a video. I don't know, but I'm just committed to that. So this is one of those sharings. And a cool thing that I do is I do see that every day is an opportunity for more expansion. It's an opportunity for more discovery and experimentation and coming to know myself in a fuller, deeper, more present way. And so I wanted to just share a little bit about what that's like. So over the last couple days, I've had major shifts going on inside of me that sort of culminated today. And so today seems like a great day to share it. And part of my other sharing is I love high-flying conversation. I love to play with ideas. I love to figure this stuff out, not because there's something right about it, but just because it's so cool to hear about all the different possibilities and all the different ways to view something, and to really step outside of all the boxes that we all seem to live in, step outside of this matrix of how we've been sort of taught and co-opted to think, and just really open to whatever's possible. And so I invite anyone that is lit up by this notion or has something they want to share, comment. There's no right answer. I'm just rolling with what feels best to me and how it flows with me. And I also really want to be living from the inside out, which means that I want to take the reflection of everything that is my creation for what it's worth, for what it is, because it is just the creation and my illusion, and move back into myself with it so that I can get higher and higher and higher and pure and pure and pure in my blended beingness, so that I truly am an expression of source. That's my goal. And I don't know if it's anyone else's, but it feels really cool. That's what it means to me to be a conscious creator. And I would love to have more other beings doing this with me. It's so fun. So this is my little situation. I went back to Chilliwack on the weekend. I now live in this beautiful island in Salt Spring Island with my partner Frank and my two daughters. It was a manifested realization for us to not only be together and live together, because he was in Seattle and I was in British Columbia, Canada, so American Canadian. We were doing this 3-hour back and forth thing, but also this island, which the first time we came here, we knew we wanted to live here, and just to wake up with each other every day. And also just to have this relationship is like the epitome of everything I ever wanted with myself, that I got with myself and then got reflected back with him. So that is just the coolest thing ever. So anyway, I went back to Chilliwack, which is where I lived before, and I have two older children that are 20 and 18 that live there, that had been living on their own. And part of my going back was a few logistical things that I needed to do. My daughter needed to go to the dentist, and we needed to have a repair done on one of our vehicles. But then also part of it was to connect with my sons. And I had this real belief that they were in a situation, the place that they rented just isn't working for them, and that I needed to come and sort of help get them into a better situation. You know, it's part of that dynamic of being a mom. And so I arrived and presented myself and offered that to them, and neither of them were interested, and neither of them seemed like they wanted to sort of move and in that direction. And at some point I stopped by their apartment, and I got a little bit of a shock because I saw that their apartment was very disorganized and very messy and really not the way that I would choose to live my life. And it was interesting. I just, not immediately, but within a very short amount of time, had this clear clarity, this knowing that them moving wouldn't be the answer, because we all take our vibration with us. And whatever it is that's got them to lead to this as their sort of creation, the reality that they've created through their own experience, through their own vibration, is based on their thoughts and beliefs and ideas. And if those don't get shifted, then won't it just be the same? And so what was freeing in me about that is that I still offered my help, but the sense of responsibility started to shift a bit. So anyway, I came home and had the next few days. And what was interesting is last night, this morning actually, I woke up at 4, and though sometimes I get up consciously at 4 to write or just play or do whatever I want, I really wanted to sleep. So I woke up at 4 and could not get back to sleep for an hour, because I had a lot of thoughts in my head, thoughts about responsibility and thoughts about the situation that I needed to fix and how are they going to get out of it, because I had arrived home at late Sunday night and Monday morning they got evicted. So that was a lot of the culmination of all the things that I was seeing and feeling. And interesting that it didn't happen or manifest until I had already physically distanced myself and come back to my house, which is a ferry ride and an hour and a bit drive and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I couldn't sleep, and these were the thoughts. And so after I did my morning routine, which is yoga and meditating and writing, in my writing section, in my meditating section, I was really feeling that we're energy, and that we came here to flow, and that part of it is to flow the source energy that we are, and to just have it be this constant flow. And that resistance is when we stop the flow. And emotions are the evidence of what we're doing with our energy. So lower, sort of off negative emotions represent a resistance in the flow of the energy, and a high flying, happy, energetic, love, optimism, curiosity, playfulness, all eagerness, excitement, creativity, all those things represent a moving of the energy. And of course, the energy itself wants to move. So when it's trying to move and we're holding thoughts that are not letting the energy move, of course, it's going to not feel good and it's going to get stuck. And so that's what had happened to me. And for 1 hour or longer, I couldn't sleep, and I had tried a bunch of techniques like meditating and letting go and just being in awareness and just moving. And I could get little glimpses of a break, but it just seemed like I was stuck. And so when I did my writing, I was writing about how that energy wants to move, and that the energy knows what it wants to do, and we were born to move energy. And so why would we introduce resistance into ourselves? Why would we want to feel that? Why have I decided that there's something wrong in what's going on with my children? Why is it not just their experience and it's okay? And what if I just felt like it was okay? Like it was just, everything's going to be okay. Everything's working out. And just be with that. And when I was with that, I just felt this like giant release that now there wasn't something that was broken. There wasn't something I needed to fix. There was a value in everything, because my inner being's essence wouldn't create this thing in co-creation with them if it wasn't serving both me and them, if there wasn't value in this experience for all of us. And so we all know that when we're young and we're growing up and we're working things out, that life just gives us stuff to work out. And if I went and just saved them every time that they got a creation that wasn't their preference, would that really lead to their biggest expansion, since expansion is a top priority for me? And so I had a clear feeling that no, that would not lead to their biggest expansion, and that the best thing I could do for myself was to just settle into the acceptance, to just let go and surrender into it's all going to be okay. And what was really interesting noticing for myself is it's not like this is the first time I've ever done this. I mean, my husband, the father of my 4 kids, transitioned 7 years ago, and I really did that with that experience. I really found the sort of positive reasoning in it and saw it as an expansion opportunity, and really had sort of recognized that it wasn't what was going to define me, because it's not experiences outside of us that do that. It's not that brings us happiness. It's what we choose to feel from the inside out. And also my older son had some addiction issues and a lot of stuff that went on for him, where I really had to make peace that he was going to find his way or not. And that was challenging and yet freeing. And so this was where I was sitting this morning, and my intention through the day was just, how can I be in more peace with this? How can I surrender and let go and trust in being the knowing that everything is going to be okay, and just leave it to their inner beings and my inner being to work out. And then I had a quick conversation with Frank, my partner, after we had done our writing. And we were talking about atoms and energy and how energy is always moving because atoms are always moving. And at the same time, how an atom might move one way, and when it's watched, it changes its movement, just like everything else, because we can't take ourselves out of the equation. Our perspective, our expectation, our creatorship, our vibration actually changes the atoms in the motion that we see them. And so something clicked for me, and I just started to realize that my sons have every potentiality possible of what they choose to experience, as we all do, as the epic creators that we are. Gazillions of possibilities, infinite possibilities exist of what we want to create. And I was in essence collapsing it into a very small width of possibilities for them by assuming that they couldn't figure this out and they were going to need me to help them, and I was going to have to do things I didn't want to do to fix it, and they're my responsibility, and a whole bunch of things that didn't feel good to me, and in actual fact wouldn't be giving them the message that I want, which is, you're an epic creator. Your life can look like anything you want as long as you know it and move in that direction. So that was really, really cool. And I also felt, as the day progressed, this sort of real letting go and just really, really shifting it, and a noticing from that energy of that intentionality of, I just want this to get easier and easier, that I engage in the dynamic that is creating this very experience of all three of us. And what it was that I check in with them. I had this nudge to call my son and ask, did you decide to pay the rent since you were evicted, or what did you decide to do? And then I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go looking for answers to questions. I'm not even going to ask questions that I don't really need to know. I'm just going to let them, they got this. I'm just going to let them do it. I'm going to step away, and I'm only going to be involved when I'm invited, and then even just only as it feels good. And that really was like a major amount of consciousness that I had brought to something, and I was able to sort of identify some momentum that we had running. And I really realized that in this coming up for me, in this experience of what happened on the weekend and seeing them and feeling this sense of responsibility, that was really shifting the way that I can show up as a mother, the way that I can show up as I want to redefine the whole notion of mother, as a partner and co-creator, and I guess coach loosely, teacher maybe, but I think we all teach each other. That isn't like, it's not a one-sided thing ever, just like co-creating. So I could open to this vast, engaging, fluid being experience with them, instead of having it be where I'm in this certain position and they're in this other position. And it just feels so much better and so much freer. So that's kind of what I was doing today. And it really tunes into like, how does energy work, and how do we co-create, and why do we sometimes create things that keep us awake for an hour because we think there's something that needs to be different than it is? How could that possibly have served me? And yet, obviously it did, because I had all of this movement and understanding of flow and energy and how I really want to feel in relationship with my kids, but most importantly, in relationship with myself, because that is the basis of power. The only basis of anything that I have is what I do with me, what I do with my energy, what I do with my perspective, what I do with my expectation. And to see the source and flow the source in me, that's great. And to also see the source in everyone else, and to know that everyone else has access to all the same understanding, knowing, and tools that I do. And they may not get there on my time schedule or what I think is the right thing, but that's perfectly fine too, because they're going to get there, and this is their journey just as much as it's my journey. So I don't know, that was just my sharing. It seemed like it went long, and if you check it out, that's great. If you wanted to get in a conversation and share, I'd love to hear specifically, I guess, what you think about how we co-create together, how relationships serve us, how sort of contrast things that don't seem upfront to be our preferences can really take us to greater expansion. And I think there could really be some fun conversation. And I hope it was a good 15, not quite 15 minutes of your life that maybe sparked something different, a new way of seeing something. And if it did, I would love it if you shared it in the comments below, and we could get some conversation going. So have a great day. And enjoy expanding out loud, because it is just super really fun. And it's through expanding out loud that we're going to show other people what this life is all about, that it's so much fun to be awakened, to be moving in that direction of being conscious in all the things that we do. So that's just me splattered all over the place. because it's fun and because I made this commitment to myself to show up. So thank you for being part of that and witnessing this little piece of my expansion. Take care. Bye.